Good morning, my favorite science people in the whole world. Um, Hope you guys are doing pretty good. I want to remind you we have a test coming up. Test is going to be on Monday and Tuesday. It's going to be on ecosystems. So one of the big things is that you have your vocabulary down. Majority of you have turned in your vocabulary definitions. So you want to study that vocabulary. Again, the words photosynthesis, cellular respiration, abiotic, biotic, ecosystems, competition, limiting factor, population, community, predation, predator, prey, uh, symbiosis, mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. Make sure you know what those definitions are. Make sure you can identify them. If you're having problems, come up with some examples. Come see me uh, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in class during the open hours. You can even come see me before you try to take the test. Guys, the test will be locked, all right? So that means you cannot go away from the test and come back. I know some of you, uh, for some reason, you have computer problems as soon as you start taking the test. You got to make sure you are ready for the test. Don't go off the tabs. Don't close your Chromebooks. Those are the only ways you're getting these problems. Okay. So anyhow, enough of that. But yeah, make sure you know those definitions. We talked Monday, Tuesday about the energy pyramid. We have a couple different terms that go in there. We have the bottom of the pyramid, which are your producers. Once again, your producers right here are your plants, um, anything, vegetables, fruit, trees, grasses, bushes, some bacteria and some fungi are all types of producers. They make their own food. Your primary consumers, these are your herbivores, strictly eat producers. So the energy that comes from the sun goes to the producers. The energy from the producers go to the primary consumers, which are your herbivores. Up here are your secondary consumers. They can get energy from the primary consumers or the producers. Not always, but generally we call these just your omnivores. They can be carnivores, just like these can be omnivores, but typically we just say these are your herbivores, these are your omnivores. And then finally, your tertiary consumers, which get their energy only from primary and secondary consumers. Um, these are typically your carnivores. These are apex predators. And then fitting outside of this whole realm of things are your decomposers. Your decomposers are breaking down dead organic material from this energy pyramid and returning the nutrients back to the producers to get it back in the cycle. Okay, so those are the things that we covered on Monday, Tuesday. So a lot of this, the next section that we're going to talk about, food chains and food webs, you are familiar with from 5th and 6th grade. So I've been told by many other students. So you may not have been here for 5th, 6th grade, so you might not be as familiar with that. That's fine. We're going to do a crash course on this, okay? I'll put a couple videos on here for you to watch as well, just to make sure you are more familiar with them. So we are ready for the test on Monday and Tuesday. So first, let's go ahead and talk about a simple food chain. Basically, all a food chain is it shows the path of energy being transferred through the ecosystem in just one path. So here we have the sun. The sun provides energy to the grass. Grass has photosynthesis occurring in it. Grasshopper comes along, eats the grass, eats the kernels in the grass, takes the energy from the grass. Then the grasshopper is hopping along, and here comes the grasshopper mouse. So grasshopper mouse sees the grasshopper, eats it, gets energy from the grasshopper, And then before you know it, you know, little mouse is all full, scurrying along, and here swoops down the hawk, eats the mouse. So the sun's energy ends up in the hawk via this chain. So if we look at the chain, we can go back to our energy pyramid. The sun, the producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. So just one path. That's all it is. You can have one path, you know, just about any kind of animals that you think of. There is, you can make a food chain from it. It's pretty simple. Notice the arrows. The arrows are very important. They go in the direction that the energy is traveling. So the energy goes from here, the sun, to the grass. The energy goes from the grass to the grasshopper. The energy goes from the grasshopper to the grasshopper mouse. The energy goes from the grasshopper mouse to the hawk. If I ask you to draw these out and you flip them around backwards, you don't get credit for it, okay? Because it shows the way the energy is flowing. That's a very important thing, especially as you get older and you get into other classes. It's important that you are notating the flow of energy um, in food chains, food webs, in any kind of cycle. You need to show where the energy is going to. Okay, any questions? No, I don't see any hands. You sure? You got it? Okay, great. Um, Seriously though, if you do have questions, you know how to get in touch with me. Email, show up to Google Meets, show up to Google Hangout. You know these things. It's nothing new here, right? We've been doing it for a couple of weeks. Got a couple more weeks to go at this. So you know how to get in touch with me if you have any questions. All right. So let's talk about food webs real quick. All right. A food web. So all a food web is, it's a combination of a whole bunch of food chains. All right, so I can go through here and I can pull out food chains all over the place, but we are talking about the food web. So here I show the sun. The sun gives energy to corn, flowers, and mangoes, which mangoes come from a tree. All right, so the grasshopper eats the corn, so the energy goes from the sun to the corn to the grasshopper. The butterfly doesn't eat, but it gets its food. It takes the nectar from the flower. Fruit flies eat the mangoes. Well, here we even branch off more. The rat eats the grasshopper, or the frog eats the grasshopper. The frog eats the butterfly, or the dragonfly eats the butterfly. The dragonfly eats the fruit fly. The thrush, which is a bird, will eat the fruit fly or the dragonfly. The wolf eats the rat or eats the thrush. An eagle will eat the wolf, usually dead wolves or baby small wolves. Eats the frog, eats the thrush. Over here, the thrush, excuse me, over here the snake eats the frog or the rat. And can be also eaten by the eagle. So notice though, I know what is eating what by following the arrows again. It gets a little bit confusing, but if you just start with one item and just branch out from there, it gets a little bit better. Again, you guys are familiar with these. You've done these before. So if you have questions, you know how to get in touch with me. All right, so I'm going over these pretty quick. So I am giving you an assignment today. Chair's caught him on the rug, sorry. I'm giving you an assignment today. It's a PDF. Now, on the PDF, it's called Got Energy Food Web Activity. All right. So open up the PDF, and it's going to say a couple things. Obtain a food web sheet from your teacher. Guess what? You're not getting a food web sheet from me, okay? It is just the PDF. You already have it. But, hopefully you can figure that out. It says, cut out each organism and create a food web with the organisms present in your ecosystem. Make sure to draw arrows showing the movement of the energy. Okay, So here's the deal. You're not cutting out the little squares that are going to be on this worksheet. You're going to draw them on a piece of paper. You saw my drawings. They don't have to be good, but you are going to draw them. You're going to label their names. Make sure to draw the arrows that show the movement of energy, just like we talked about. You're going to label each organism. Is it a producer? Is it an herbivore, omnivore, carnivore, or decomposer? If you are not sure what it is, you have this wonderful thing in front of you called a computer. Look it up. It will tell you. When you are done, complete the questions at the bottom on a Google Doc. So you're going to do all the analyzing questions on a Google Doc. Okay. So the questions are, in which biome is the food web most likely to be found? What is a biome? A biome is kind of like an ecosystem, but it's a little bit larger. So your biomes are the Arctic, they're deserts, forests, kind of things like that. Just kind of the same way we talked about ecosystems. List some of the biotic and abiotic factors that exist in your ecosystem. So look them up. If you don't know, you should be able to figure these out on your own, but you're more than welcome to use the internet to look these things up. What is the ultimate energy for your food web? Where does all the energy come from? Identify one example of a food chain within the food web you create that has at least 4 organisms and write it below the questions. Okay, so the first organism in your food chain must always be what type of organism. So tell me what that is. I'm not going to give you the answers right now, but it's not the sun. I'm going to tell you that because the sun is not an organism. The sun is a star. It's not living. I want you to draw me a pyramid. That's going to be number 6. You're going to draw me a picture of a pyramid. You are going to place the name of the different organisms in the energy pyramid where they belong and label it producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. There is another one there that says quaternary consumers, if there are any. That just means something that would eat what you would consider the tertiary consumer. And predict how a change in the abiotic factors, such as sunlight, would affect your ecosystem. So let's say there is very little sunlight for 6 months. There's an ecosystem in here that would have, not 6 months, for very little sunlight for 3 months of the year. Tell me how you think that's going to affect this food chain. Okay, so as you scroll down through there are shrubland food webs, marine ecosystem food web, the savanna ecosystem food web, and the grassland food web. And the last one, I believe, is the deciduous forest food web. So just so you know, deciduous forest is kind of like what we have here in Northwest Arkansas. If you go out into around Beaver Lake or so on, this is a deciduous forest. Grassland forest, this is what you get when you travel west out into Oklahoma. That's the grasslands. The savanna is basically grasslands as well, but that's what you find in Africa, the big grasslands of Africa. The marine ecosystems, we're just basically talking about oceans, and shrubland food webs. These are kind of a mixture between the grasslands in Oklahoma, the Great Plains, and the forest of Northwest Arkansas. It's an area that's kind of a transition state. So you have 12 organisms in each one of those websites that are in each one of those ecosystems that you must put into a food web and give me at least one food chain out of each one. The internet is your friend. It'll help you tell what eats what. So good luck with this, guys. Again, questions, you know where to find me. So I will be attaching this and a couple food web, food chain videos onto the Google Classroom. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Come see me if you have any questions. Talk to you soon. All right, thanks. Bye.